Moses, after killing an Egyptian and hiding his body, ran because he thought people were out to get him. And so he ran to a place called Midian. And when he got to Midian, he got to this well. He was going to drink water from a well, and he met a group of girls, a group of sisters just trying to get water from the well, and they began to get harassed by a group of shepherds. And so Moses, being who Moses is, stepped in, helped the girls, got them some water, and sent them on their way. When the girls ran home and told their father, hey, we got help by this guy. We don't know who he is or where he came from, but he helped us to get water. Dad said, well, where is he? Oh, we left that guy back at the well, Daddy. He said, go back and get the man. Go back and get him and bring him to the house so we can say thank you properly. Girls, I raised you different. And so the girls went back, and there was Moses at the same spot where they left him. They brought him back to the house, and Jethro said, thank you so much. And at the dinner table, in my imagination, Moses looks across the table and sees a fine young thing named Zipporah. I said it at 8 o'clock. I'll say it again. It's the way Richard looks at his new bride. He looked at her. And I believe that Jethro saw the look between them at the table and said, oh, I can get a hookup right here. Moses, I'm going to help you out. Come live with us. I offer my daughter as your wife. You can be a part of the family business. And Moses went about his business. He had his wife. He had his kids. He had his job. He was an ordinary guy. The prince of Egypt no longer existed. The person he killed no longer existed in his mind. All of that drama, those family issues, all of that stuff didn't exist anymore because here he was, an ordinary sheep herder, minding his business. And as he got to the Mount of Sinai, they call it the Mount of God, he saw something burning. And he thought, I wonder what that is. I want to say I'm the kind of person who, if I saw something burning, would say, oh no, call 911, let me run the other way. But the truth is, we're pretty much nosy folks. Or at least people in my family are nosy. We run to stuff. My mom is the person who chases fire trucks. If she saw a fire, she'd be like, oh no, let me go see what's happening. And that was Moses. Moses ran to this burning bush, and when he got there, he realized that this was a different kind of burning bush. He realized that something was different, so he stepped a little closer. And when he got a little closer, he realized that the fire wasn't hot. It didn't even smell like fire. It wasn't consuming him like your regular bonfire. And so he stepped a little closer, and the angel of the Lord appeared, and Moses said, can you believe this? I can't even smell the smoke. He said, this is amazing. The New Living Translation says that Moses said, this is amazing. That the fire doesn't even touch me. And so he steps even closer, and he got God's attention. I don't know what God was doing that he didn't see Moses coming anyway. He's a busy guy, I get it. But the text says at this moment, God saw Moses come closer to the bush, and he said, hey, Moses. And Moses said, here I am. Last week, I challenged you guys. I challenged you guys to do a random act of kindness. I asked that you would go out and you would just do a little something. I have no idea who actually did it. I don't know who did it. I don't want to know. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand or turn in a report card or give me the picture that you post on Facebook. I'm not going to ask you to do any of that. I'm just going to imagine that some people did it. I also realize that some people did not do it, and that's okay. That's all right. Maybe you're still thinking about it. Maybe in your life you said nothing happened this week for me to show a random act of kindness. I'm not ready. I was a little scared. I was a little busy. Maybe some of you, before you got to coffee hour last week, totally forgot. But that's okay. That's all right. If you did it silently on the inside, say, yay me. Because good job. If you didn't and you're still thinking about it, I still say, yay me. I'm still thinking about it. If you didn't, that's all right. Say, yay me too. Because I believe and I pray, at least my prayer was in the sermon moment, in the moment where we were all here together last week, God said something to you. Whether you moved on it or not is really none of my business. That's kind of on Facebook now. Kermit the Frog drinking a cup of tea is none of my business. That's between you and God. The things that you did, you don't have to come and tell me. As a matter of fact, don't tell me. But for some of you, you did step out there. You stepped out there, you did something different. You did something scary. Can I suggest to you that maybe right now you are staring at your burning bush? Let me explain it a little different. If you took the step closer, you did that random act of kindness, that's just a step. That's not the end. That's just a step. So like Moses, you stepped closer. Maybe you said, that felt good, I'll do it again. And you stepped even closer. And you said, this isn't as scary as I thought. The smoke doesn't even consume me. I don't even feel the heat like I thought I would. And so you step closer. And maybe God said, hey, you. Will you say, here I am? Maybe it's scary to say, here I am. Maybe it's easier to just go, oh, maybe he's not talking to me. Because in my imagination, when God called Moses, he stepped proudly up and said, God, here I am, until he heard the next part of the conversation. The next part of the conversation said, good, Moses, I got your attention. Here's what's going on in the world. While you're tending your sheep and loving your wife and taking your kids to the park and doing all these ordinary, really awesome things, over back in Egypt, your people are dying. They're working even harder than they worked before because your stepfather, the guy who tried to kill you in the first place, he's dead, and now your stepbrother is in charge, and he's way worse than your stepfather. He's made the Hebrew people work way harder than your stepfather ever did. Slavery is way worse than it used to be. I mean, these people are in trouble, Moses. They're in trouble. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And it's time that I did something, so I'm sending you, Moses. In my mind, this is what Moses did. Oh, you mean me, Moses? Or are you looking for Moses Jenkins down the street? Because maybe you have the wrong Moses. You know, there are a lot of Moses in this town. Maybe you got the wrong one. Maybe it's not me. You know, there is another Moses. We kind of look alike. But no, God wasn't confused at all. God called Moses this murderer at this moment, for this time, this guy who was just trying to mind his business and stay out of trouble and move from his past and move all of those things that hurt and moved away from all of those things that were difficult. He tried to move from over there just to be somewhere safe, move away from the pain and the confusion. And God says, I'm sending you to save your people. I'm sending you to set your people free. Moses said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't have what it takes. I don't have the right credentials. I don't even know who to say sent me. It's too risky. It's too painful. If I go back there, those folks are going to laugh at me, God. They may kill me because I killed somebody. I have no idea what's going to happen. And God didn't let up. God said, listen, guy, listen. I'm sending you. He said, who should I tell him sent me? He said, I am. Now, I am sent you, the Father of your father's father, the Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm sending you, Moses, go. Excuses. I can't go. I have to work. I can't go. Who will watch the kids? I can't go. My time has passed. This is time for a new generation. I can't go. I'm not prepared. I'm not qualified. I'm not holy enough. I don't know enough scripture. I don't have the right skills. I don't have the right gifts. It's the wrong time of day. My hair don't look good. My shoes don't match. My stockings have a run in them. I can't go. My shirt is wrinkled. I can't go. I'm scared. I can't go. I'm hungry. I can't go. I'm angry. I can't go. I'm bitter. I can't go. I'm too happy. I can't go. I got a party to go to. I can't go. Moses, excuses, but God is calling you. Guess what? I'm not talking about Moses. Oh, it got real quiet. Maybe there's somebody in here, you're running from your past. You're running from the things that have been hurtful and painful and difficult and risky. Maybe you don't think you're smart enough. Maybe you think you're too old or too young or too tall or too short. But guess what? You're standing in front of this burning bush, and God is calling you to make a change somewhere. And that random act of kindness was just the first step. Can I challenge you today to move beyond the bush? We had to set the sermon title really, really early in the week. And so I thought this sermon was going to be something totally different. I mean, I really did. Something totally, totally different. And in one of the most random places that you could be thinking about a sermon, I was sitting down and God said, guess what? That's not the sermon, kid. He said for me to say, move beyond the bush. Move beyond the bush. You're probably wondering, what is the bush? This is the bush. The bush is wonderful. The bush is radiant and it's awesome, and the angel of the Lord is there, and God speaks there, and God loves you at the bush. This is our burning bush. We come here every week, and we feel so good and wonderful, and we see our friends, and that's amazing, and we worship God, and the band rocks it out, and Richard leads us, and this is our burning bush. My question is to you, what happens when you walk outside that door? What happens beyond the bush? It's one thing to be here and be happy and be worshipful and to love God and to read the scriptures and to hear the word. But what happens when you step beyond the bush because God is calling you to do something more? There has to be more. There has to be more because there are people who are dying and people who are hurt and people who are frustrated and they don't know God. And we know God. And so our responsibility is to big up God whenever we can, to make God the famous one. It's not about us. It's not about doing these random acts of kindness and doing good and doing great so that we can get the glory. But it's for God's glory because He is the great I am. I am. The great I am. Yes, Moses, you are a murderer. You killed somebody and then you didn't tell nobody and then you tried to roll up in the neighborhood like you didn't do nothing. Yeah, Moses, you ran, and you probably lied along the way so that nobody could catch you. Yes, you may be a gossiper. You may be an abuser. You may be the abused. You may be a liar or a cheater or a thief or a burglar. You may do, I may do a lot of things, but God used Moses. Don't you doubt for a second that He won't use you. The great I am. He said, I am. Tell them I am sent them. Sent you. I am. I am. That's all He said. There are many, many famous people with many, many famous names. One-word names. Prince, Madonna, who else? 2 words. Lady Gaga. That's 2. Cher. Woo! Cher. Celine Dion has a full name, but people just call her Celine because it's fancy and it sparkles like glitter. Famous Whitney. Oh, come on. When you say those one where everybody knows Michael. When you say those one-name words, everybody gets excited. Oh, they're so famous. When Michael was alive, I promise you, if I went to go see him on stage, I would be one of those people passed out. Woo! Michael, boom, there she goes. Famous. Fame means that your name is well known for something amazing you have done. It is our job to make God the famous one so that His name is well known in the hearts of everybody. It is our job to move beyond this space, to move beyond all of this wonderfulness, to make God the big one, the famous one. We do all of these things for God's glory and for God's glory alone. You don't need a bunch of credentials. You don't need a bunch of stuff. You got what you need. You got what you need. That is horrible English, but you got what you need. You got it. Because the great I am, the great I am, the great I am exists in the world. The great I am who created the entire universe just for us to live in it and to show His glory. God can do many things on God's own self. God can do it, but we're the ones called to do it. God can come down. Jesus could have saved Himself from the cross, but He didn't, did He? He sacrificed His life for us. What will you do? What will you do different? Today, when you leave this place, what will be different? Come to the burning bush every single Sunday. It's a beautiful experience, and we pray that you leave here full and happy and worshipful and just loving God every second more. But it means nothing if we're not making it known out there. What will be different? I can't tell you when or how or why or where God is going to speak to you. I wish I could. I wish we had a book and we could say, Maria, and on Wednesday at 3:30, God's going to come to you. He's going to give you the exact instructions. I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish that we could help everybody, but we can't because this is a personal thing. This is between you and God. My only question is when and when will you move beyond the bush? Because somebody's waiting on you. Somebody is waiting on you. There is a movie called God Is Not Dead. Has anybody seen this movie? It is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, go find it somewhere. God Is Not Dead. It's the story of a college kid who is a Christian, and he's just normal. He's just ordinary. He's just loving Jesus. He goes to church. He went to his youth group. Claudine, he was good. They went to Six Flags and stuff. They had a good time. And he goes to college full of faith because that's what his pastor and his youth pastor put in him. And he steps foot into his first philosophy class, and the professor says, write on the piece of paper that God is dead. Because that's nonsense. We don't need to talk about that here in school. Like, that's a whole half of the semester. If everybody just writes it down and signs your name on the paper, just saying that God is dead, we'll get past that and we'll move forward. And this Christian kid, this ordinary kid said, I ain't writing it. I'm not signing it. I will not proclaim that God is dead because God is not dead. And the professor said, prove it. And the rest of the movie, he tries to prove that God is not dead. He stepped beyond the bush. He went beyond his youth group, beyond what his pastor taught him, beyond everything. He lost everything. His friends thought he was crazy. His girlfriend thought he was wasting his time. The professor said he would fail him and that he would never get into grad school and he would never get a job. And all he had to do was sign a piece of paper to get a passing grade. And he refused to do it. He stepped beyond the bush. Sacrificed everything. And I won't tell you the end. You could probably guess the end. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Watch the movie. He stepped beyond. He stepped outside of his church. He took this book, this Bible that he had read for so many years, these songs that he had sang for so many years, and he made them real. If I can be really, really honest with you, like a ton of bricks, something hit me last week. I was at home and I was singing one of my favorite songs from Hillsong. It's called Oceans. We sang it here before, and it talks about stepping out. And I was like, oh, I love that song. And then last week, Fred played How Great Is Our God. And somewhere around like Sunday night, I was like, wait a minute. I've been singing these songs my whole life. I've been singing how great is our God, great is thy faithfulness, and been singing them and feel them and maybe even drop a tear or two, but am I believing it? Am I walking it? Am I walking like I know that God is great? Am I walking like I know that this God can do the impossible? God can do the impossible. And last week when it broke through something on the inside of me, I thought, whoa, I've been cheating. I've been cheating, God. I've been looking at the bush going, this is great. This is wonderful. I love worshiping you at the bush. I love the fire and the angel and the radiance of it. But God said you have to step beyond this moment, beyond this good feeling, and you got to do something real if you believe I'm great. Maybe that's not the word for you today, and that's okay. Because God's going to come in God's own time. At some point, you'll say, here I am, or you won't. But tomorrow is not promised. And I don't know what's going to happen at any moment. And for my own self, God challenges me to walk beyond it and to make him the big one, the famous one. And that's how he's called me to live my life, and it won't be perfect. Moses wasn't perfect. He didn't have it all together. He had some issues. I got some issues. I feel like I should be smarter and faster. I should be taller. But God says, no, there's a reason why I made you the way I made you. Because you're supposed to do something just the way you are. Can I just tell you, you're supposed to do something just the way you are. Just where you are. God's not looking for you to be any smarter, or any taller, or any shorter, or any thinner. He's looking for you right now. So here we are at the burning bush. What you going to do different today? That's it. That's all I got for you today. What it's going to be different today. What's going to be different today? So that tomorrow somebody will know who he is. Not so that he'll know who we are, but who he is. I like these Sundays because it's quiet. And I'm praying that's because you're thinking and not because you think I've lost all of my marbles. I've lost a few, but not all of them. But I do pray that God is working on something. I mean, I'm praying hard. Y'all don't know how much the people around here pray. There are people praying almost round the clock. There are people praying for everybody in this place that God would break through. And not for more stuff, but so that God's name is known. So that God's fame is known. So that his name is known in all the earth. Our job is not done until every single person on the planet knows who God is in your life. For you, God may be love. For you, God may be good. For you, God may be great. I don't know who God is in your life, but I know God is there. I'm not going to ask you to come forward this morning. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. All I'm going to ask you is what's going to be different today. Let's pray. God, you call us out into the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. God, you called Moses this ordinary guy who had an incredible past and didn't even know it. He had an incredible future and didn't even know it, God. All he could see was where he was, standing in front of this burning bush, asking God all of these questions, doubting himself and wondering what he got himself into. But God, you used him to be one of the greatest leaders of all time. God, you used him to set his people free. You used him for a movement that's never happened on this planet before. God, you used him, and so God, here we are. Some of us don't realize what we've been offered in our past. We don't know what's coming in the future. All we know is that we are here right now. Some of us feel ordinary and we don't feel like we're enough. We're just coming to this burning bush praying that you would do something. We're just coming to this burning bush every Sunday just wanting to feel your presence. But God, this morning with everything in me, I believe that you are calling us to look beyond it, to go beyond it, to step beyond it, to run for some of us beyond it, because we know that you've called us. Some of us we've heard you call our name. We've felt your touch. We've felt you tap us on the shoulder. We've felt you push us, and we've ignored it. We've pulled back. We've run away. God, I'm praying today that you would give us brand new courage and brand new boldness so that we can go. God, you called us to go. Help us to go. God, help us to do something so that you are made famous in all the earth. Oh, we love you, Jesus. We love you so much. And so we offer our whole selves to you, to be used for your glory, for your goodness, for your greatness. Use us, God. Use these ordinary, extraordinary folks to do what others may say is impossible. But we know with you, everything is possible. Help us to believe it. Help us to walk in it. And we'll be sure to give you all the glory and all the praise at the end of every day, at the beginning of every morning. We love you, Jesus.